Yeah, you can be known for bad things, right? So I mean, I could bring up lots of real life world examples right
What
now
has my
of
wife told
popular.
you?
Yeah.
Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hossman, and joining me today is a brand new rock star. He's a story brand certified guide, a fractional CMO, the host of the Marketing Domination podcast. Excited to check that out. He's also a former gym owner turned marketing expert, and he's here today to help us think differently about how we show up, stand out, and build trust in our communities. Sean Garner, thanks for being here, man.
Kirby, thank you so much. I already feel the joy coming off this. So I'm excited and honored for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm super interested. I mean, you went from gym owner to fractional CMO. That's not a jump that everybody like makes. So what was the moment you realized that marketing was your actual superpower?
Yeah, so it was honestly kind of the journey of, as an entrepreneur, a lot of times when you're starting out, it is the solopreneur game. So you're having to wear all the different hats. And so kind of my journey from doing that to owning the agency that we have now, it started honestly out of frustration of getting burned by other marketing agencies. I was paying them to do things for me. They said that they were doing them. They really weren't. Sometimes they were, but then I would find out there was always a lot of half truths and everything, to where it all came tumbling down one time whenever I was able to call them out on some things that I could tell that they said they were doing. And then whenever we went to separate, kind of the thing that just broke me, and I was like, we got to figure this thing out, is whenever I realized I didn't even actually own a lot of the digital assets they created. So they built the website on like a proprietary like CMS website platform. So whenever I went to separate it, so it's like, oh yeah, you own the website. But I really didn't, because I couldn't take that website and just transfer it to another host or anything like that. So that's what, just out of that frustration, led me down the rabbit hole of learning marketing. And as the gym owner, got a lot into the digital space, to where I was building, the personal brand. I did a lot of stuff in the online fitness space, and was a writer and fitness advisor for Men's Health magazine, where it led me into building a personal brand online. And as I started doing that, was having friends and colleagues ask questions about like, well, how are you doing all this online stuff? And I realized I started enjoying teaching them that stuff more than the fitness stuff. And then throughout COVID and everything else in other industries I was exposed to, led to the agency that we have now.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, that like the frustration often leads to the opportunity, right? Like, because it's like when you run into those things over and over again, you're like, okay, there has to be a better way. So I totally relate to that. So I think when I'm working with people, and when I talk to a lot of small business owners, they hear sales funnel. It's like their
Yeah.
eyes glass over, right? Like, how do we break it down so it actually makes sense?
Yeah, great question. I think because I was in the fitness industry for so long, I relate a lot of things always back to that. So even in marketing too, right? We have a lot of terminology that we use that really doesn't have a set standard. So a lot of people use the term sales funnel, and like you said, their eyes glaze over, or they have a preconceived idea of what that means. So for us, I would say this: most people, when they hear the term sales funnel, they're thinking of a style of landing page, maybe a software builder like a ClickFunnels or High Level. That's not what we mean whenever we help clients build a sales funnel. For us, a sales funnel is the relationship journey of taking someone from not knowing who you are to becoming a super fan customer for life. Now,
Yeah.
parts of that sales funnel include your brand messaging. And you mentioned I'm a certified story brand guide. So we utilize the story brand framework to create the words that we're using. It's the logos, colors, fonts, the visual identity of your brand. It is your website and how that website is structured. It is some type of a lead generation tool on your website, whether it be a quiz, PDF, ebook, mini course, something like that. It's the follow-up sequence that happens after they download that thing. And then it's all plugged into some type of a CRM platform tool, so all that data and customer information doesn't get lost. That to us is what we say when we say building a sales funnel. And that's the foundation of a bigger picture that we call marketing domination. Because to me, you need to have that stuff in place just to be able to even do real marketing, to where you can start having a place to send people to with, SEO, paid traffic, networking events, custom branded merchandise, to get people to know about you, to come through your funnel to develop that relationship journey.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you describe it too, because I think it's getting somebody to kind of go from not knowing you at all to knowing you super well, as you said, to becoming a fan. So I think that's a great definition. But we talked about getting them to know you, but what's the difference between a business that's known in their community and one that's trusted? Because I do think there's a difference, and why do you think it matters?
Yeah, you can be known for bad things, right? So I mean, I could bring up lots of real life world examples right
What
now.
has my wife told you?
Yeah, of popular people that are known, but it's about being known for the right things. So I think that, especially as a small business owner, your goal with marketing, especially if you get into the content and social media stuff, the goal should not be virality. You should not want it just to be going to be popular. I like the term that you said about being trusted. You want to be known as the go-to guide expert for your local niche. I truly believe that oftentimes I used to struggle with very much like a poverty mindset of thinking like, no, if my competitor's doing well, that means I'm doing bad. But I firmly believe that entrepreneurship is a calling. And if you're called to do something, you're called to do it with excellence. And I also believe within that calling that there's certain people that you are called to serve. And so that doesn't mean, I use the term in my agency, domination. We say marketing domination. That doesn't mean crushing the competition. It means doing what you do with excellence, because you got your own lane and race. The customers that you're called to serve are different than mine, even though there may be some overlap. So I think whenever it comes to about being trusted, it's about knowing your lane and staying in your lane and positioning yourself as the guide for your customers, so you can come alongside them and help them solve their problems. It's not just hey, come look at me and how awesome I think that I am, but it's making yourself really just serve your customers and the ones that you are called to serve, and doing that with excellence.
Yeah, I think you and I are kindred spirits on this, because I agree with you. A couple things. Number one, I agree that there's so many parallels between fitness and like marketing and sales. It's, the consistency, the discipline, the fact that it doesn't show up right away, and all these things. And I will say that the thing that I talk about all the time, it's like, you don't need to go viral. You need to create value, right? It's not about
love that.
virality, it's value. And so I love what you're saying there too. So if someone listening has, let's say, 30 minutes a week to invest in their marketing, where should they put it? Where should they put that 30 minutes of their time?
Yeah. So primarily who we specialize in working with is local service-based businesses. And so I would say for those, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you have that marketing funnel in place. And so I think a lot of times whenever business owners, if you just heard those different things that I just rattled off, like, oh yeah, well, we have a website. Oh yeah, we've got that. We'll do ya, because it's not necessarily just about having those things, but making sure those things are executed at the highest level and they're working for you. If you have a website, it doesn't just mean you have a place on the internet where people can go. To me, having a website means you have a place that collects leads and makes you money. So if the website is not doing those things and it's just serving as a digital billboard, well, let's spend that 30 minutes a week auditing our website, figuring out how we can improve conversion so the website actually starts working for you. It would be, so for me, I would say I would make sure that we have that funnel system in place so you actually can do real marketing. Because once you do have that, let's say you do have that place and you got some superstars that are listening to this, my weekly checklist of tasks should be is every single week, you need to be collecting new Google reviews for your Google business profile. Or if you are a national brand business to where you don't serve a very specific local market, you need to be collecting reviews on third-party tools like Trustpilot, because a lot of these LLMs, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, stuff like that, they're not just pulling and looking for review sources from Google, right? They've got their own third-party sources. So things like Yelp and Trustpilot, to where you can show to be the recommended source. I would be making sure that we're always collecting those types of reviews, and that, guess what? We're reaching out to our list on a weekly basis. So a lot of times business owners, they spend all this time, effort, and money paying for leads, paying for ads and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll reach out to them once like, they didn't buy it. They're not interested. No, they're just busy. They're like you. And so making sure that we're creating value on a weekly basis. We're not sending out newsletters and spammy texts, buy my thing, buy my thing. We're positioning ourselves as the guide for our customers. We're adding value to them. So when they are ready to buy, they think of us. And I would just be human. I think too many people are trying to rely on AI and automations to do everything for you. The superpower that small business owners have, they're not huge enterprise companies that have to run things through board meetings and get approval for the stuff before we implement. Man, you can pivot quickly so you can reach out. You don't have to rely on a huge automation because you got 100 sales team members working for you. Pick up the phone and call people. You would be amazed how shocked people are when they book a call on our agency's website and I show up on the call. They're like, I thought we would be talking to a salesperson. Like, no, the agency's called Sean Garner Consulting. That'd be weird if Sean Garner didn't show up on the call. So just being human and connecting with people, that's how I would be spending my time after I have my sales funnel in place.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I like what you kind of started out there where you're like, just because you have a website and maybe you have a lead magnet doesn't mean it's connected, doesn't mean it's working, doesn't spend the time to just make sure it's actually executing the thing. Because I find that when I go back and actually just did this where I did an audit of my own website, and we do websites, right? And I was like, oh man, I was blown away by the things that were outdated, and I needed to update that photo, and I needed to add these tags. I need to do this. And it was like checking it too, to make sure that the thing you think is working is actually working, is also super good. So that's great stuff.
You need to think about your website and all these digital assets as your digital storefront. So two things with it. Imagine having your in-person facility. Let's say you had a restaurant, right? And you don't paint, people are brushing up against walls and knocking things off. If you don't do touch-up paint every once in a while, if you're not making sure deep cleaning is being done, well, it's going to look dirty, right? You do those things in your in-person. You need to do those on your digital business as well to make sure that stuff is set up and in place and everything. We do an audit, like you just said with yours, like we do that for us and for our clients on at least a quarterly, if not like a every 6-month basis. Look at things. Does it make sense still? Is all of this, have we added new services, added new service areas? Because I think that the big disconnect that I've found with local business owners and digital marketing, they assume that because they've done it in the real world that everybody knows about it. They don't. Part of like SEO, for example, and this AI SEO and optimization and stuff is taking the things that happen in the real world and putting them on your website so these crawlers and customers know. Don't assume that people are going to infer that you offer drain cleaning services because you're a plumber. We need to make sure that we have that stuff listed on our website and we're being clear with those things. So don't have them guess, tell them. So if you've done some cool things in your community, if you've served some new customers, if you've expanded in new service areas, you need to make sure that stuff's getting updated on the website and everything as well too.
Yeah, man, that's great. Great advice, Sean. This has been really good. Where can people go to find more about you or the podcast or the company?
Yeah. So the best way is just our website. It's seangarner.co, SeanGarner.co, seangarner.co. But specifically for your audience, if they just go to seangarner.co/joy, on there, we talked about all those different items and stuff that you need in your marketing and stuff. We call it the marketing domination checklist. You go to seangarner.co/joy, we'll have that checklist on there for your audience so they can click there, they can download it, and they can make sure they have all that stuff inside their market.
Is so cool. Thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate that. This has been fun. We'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the opportunity. It's great to connect.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.